What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to work on the shopping cart. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is just make this link work. So let's go ahead and make a controller. PHP artisan make controller. Let's call it cart controller. And let's make it resourceful. Okay. Let's go into Sublime. We don't need that one. And let's just grab this one. Make a new one /cart. It should be cart controller index, and let's call it cart.index. And let's go to our cart controller, and in index let's just return the view, and the view is called cart. So let's do that, see if that works. Okay, it's not working because if you look at our cart view, it's actually also calling that saved for later thing right here. Not saved for later. Might also like partial, which requires part of our model to be passed in. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we open our shop controller, we can just grab it from there. So where we're grabbing the might also like, we'll just grab that there, pass it into our cart controller, and let's pass that in here with, I think it's called might also like. Yes, might also like, and might also like. Okay, see if that works. We have to import the product. Okay. Slug is not defined. In this case, we don't need the slug, so let's just remove that. Do this, and that should work. Okay. And we're getting that in random order as well. Okay, cool. If you look here, this piece of code is being repeated here and also in our shop controller right here. So whenever that happens, I like to extract to a query scope. So if you go into our product model and we make a new method called, you have to prepend it with scope. So scope, let's call it might also like, passing in the query, and we're just going to return query in random order take 4, and now wherever that appears we can just replace it with this might also like function that we just made. So it happens in 2 places. Shop controller right here, we can just do might also like, and also in our cart controller we can just do might also like. Therefore we can avoid repeated code, and if we have to change something, we only have to change it in one place. Let's make sure that works. So okay, that still works, and if we go back to shop, and that still works. Awesome. Let's go ahead and make sure that this cart link links to our cart page. So I think it's called nav.blade.php. And right here, let's just go to the appropriate route, cart.index. See if that works. Okay, that takes us to our cart. I actually have 2 navs. I have this one, which has the background, but I also have a different one for this one because the hero background goes below it. So make sure we change it there too. Landing page right here. I didn't do it for shop, so let's make sure we do it for shop as well. It's shop.index and cart.index. So let's do that. Shop.index, and then here, cart.index. Make sure shop works. Okay. Make sure it works from here. Okay, cool. Okay, now let's install our shopping cart library that we'll be using. I'm going to use this one, Crinsane Laravel Shopping Cart, which is probably the most popular Laravel one. And in my experience, it works pretty well. So let's go ahead and install that. So all we have to do is do this. Just compose or require the shopping cart. And let's go into our routes file. And let's make a new route here for adding a product into the cart. So let's just duplicate that line. It's going to be a post to /cart as well. And we're going to call the store method. We'll make that in a second, and we'll call it cart.store. Now let's go into our cart controller, and let's go to our store method down here, and let's work on that. So if you look at the documentation, to add a product, all you have to do is do something like this. So this is the ID, this is the product name, this is the quantity, and that's the price. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's do cart, add, this is the ID, so ID that's coming in, request name, quantity, we'll just do 1 as default, and let's call the price. Sorry, that should be a capital. And I also want to associate it with our model. So our model name is product, app product. And that's going to just allow us to retrieve our model easier once we're doing that later on. Let's just make sure that lines up. Okay. And after that, let's redirect back. Let's redirect to our cart actually. So redirect to our cart, cart.index, and let's give it a success message. Success message. Let's call it item was added to your cart. And yeah, that should do it. So now if we go back into our application and back to a product page, product view, we have to add the functionality here to call that method that we just made. So let's go to product, I believe, product. Yep. So add to cart. Yeah, right here. Let's work on this. So since we're making a post request, we can't just use a link here. We have to actually use a form. So let's go ahead and build up a form. So the action is going to be, we called it cart.store. Is that what we called it? Yes, cart.store. And then method equals post. And don't forget the CSRF field. And now we have to pass in all those values. The ID, the name, and the price. And so let's go ahead and do that. Actually, let's make the submit button first. Type equals submit. Class equals button. Called button plain. And let's just make it add to cart. Let's just see if our CSS works. And it looks the same. Okay. I already added that from before, so take a look at the CSS if you're curious. So now let's pass in those fields. So input type equals hidden. The first one was ID, so let's pass in the ID equals product ID. And let's do the same for the other two fields, which is name and price. So name, let's do name quickly. Product name and price. And yeah, that should do it. If we give this a refresh, let's just see if this goes to the cart page. It does not. We have to import the cart. Let's do that. In our cart controller, we have to import this. So let's do that. I believe it's the facades one. Okay. Let's go back, refresh this again, see if it redirects to the cart this time. And it does. Okay, this is just hard-coded data, so it's not showing what's in our cart yet, because we are going to work on that in a second. But first, I want to add just a success message, because I don't have that in my view yet. So if you go into our cart, and we go up here somewhere, we'll just paste in code here, and all it's doing is it's checking if there's a success message or an error message, and it just adds the appropriate classes to output it if it does. So save that. Let's try that again. If we refresh, add to cart, we should see a success message now. There we go. And looks like I didn't add the CSS for that, so let me just do that real quick. So in my components folder, underneath my SAS folder, let's just make a new one called alerts. Just paste in some code here, which is basically just stealing it from Bootstrap because I'm not using Bootstrap here. And then in our main CSS, let's make sure we add that right here. So alerts. Save. I'm not running my watcher, so let's just run npm run dev. Okay. See if that works. Oh, let's add another one again. There you go. Okay, awesome. All right, now let's work on getting the cart contents to show up here dynamically. So first, I'd like to just make a temporary method here that just clears out the cart, just so I can test things out with an empty cart and with stuff inside of the cart. So the way to do that is just do cart destroy. Actually, let's just put it in our routes file. Let's just grab that. Okay, we don't need this. Let's put it in our routes file. So if I just put it here, empty, and let's just do this. Cart destroy, let's import that. And again, this is just temporary, so we can do some testing. See if that works. Okay, that should have emptied the cart. Okay, so now if we go into our cart here, and right here we can check if it's empty. So if cart count greater than 0, then we can put the cart count here. So again, we'll output cart count items. Let's just put this in brackets so it's grammatically correct. And for the else, it's all the way down here. Where is it? After here. Else, we'll end the if there. We'll just say h3, no items in cart. So let's see if that works. There you go. See, no items in cart. If we do add one, let's see if that works. Class count. Did I do that correctly? Count. Not that one. Oh, that should be a method right there. Sorry. Fresh. Okay, now it shows that. Okay, cool. Now let's output the contents of the cart here. So this div with a class of cart table row is what we want to loop over for each instance of the cart, for each item of the cart, rather. So let's go ahead and do that. So for each cart content, as let's call it item, and let's put the end for each at the end of this cart table row right here. Okay. And yeah, let's just output everything we need to output here. So this first thing over here would be the link. I want to link it back to the actual product if we click on any of these two. So this would be route shop.show, and we're going to pass in item model slug. So for the image, we'll do something similar. So it's going to be actually not a route, asset. The path is going to be image/products / we're going to append item model slug, and we're going to append .jpeg. Okay. And here we can do the same thing because it's the same link over here. And this is going to be item model name, item model name, and this is going to be item model details. So let's see if that worked. There you go. So there's one item in our cart, and these two are just the hard-coded ones. So let me remove the hard-coded ones. We don't need this, and we need that one. Okay, so there you go. Let's see if it links properly. Okay, that links properly. See if this one links properly. Yep, that one links properly. The image is correct. We'll work on these remove and save for later in a bit. Let's just add more items to see if it works. Another one, add to cart, and there you go. We have it showing the contents of the cart. I forgot to add the price in, so let's quickly do that. So where is it? Right here. So all you have to do is item model, and we have that present price method that we made, and that should show the price. There you go. Awesome. Now let's do the remove and save for later links. So remove is first. Let's go into our cart controller, and let's go to our destroy method. And to remove, all we have to do is cart remove the ID that we're passing in, and then let's just return back to the cart. I think we just go back with success message. Item has been removed. Okay. Now in our cart, we have to replace this link. Actually, let's go to our routes file first, and we have to make a new one here called destroy. Oh no, cart as well, but it's going to be a delete request, and we're going to pass in the product here. And cart controller destroy, and we'll name it cart destroy. Okay. Now in our view, we have to replace this link with a form. So let's go ahead and do that. Form action equals, let's call it route cart.destroy, and we're passing in item row ID, and that's the row ID of the cart, not our specific product. We need that to delete it. Method equals post, and then don't forget our CSRF field, and also don't forget our method type, method field, passing in a delete request, and we have to do that. And let's add our submit button. Type equals submit, class equals cart options, and let's call it remove, and let's see if this works. Let's refresh this, and let's remove laptop 5, and there you go. Laptop 5 is removed. Our success message is here, and yeah, we can remove everything, and yeah, there's our message for no items in cart. Let me just add a more friendly message here when there's no items in the cart. So let's go back to cart, no items in cart. I just want to add a link back to the shopping page. So route shop.index, I think, and let's just call it continue shopping. See how that looks. I need to add a class for my button here. Class equals button. See how that looks. Okay, it looks good. Let's just add some space here. I have a utility function called spacer. See if that looks good to me. No items in cart. Okay. Okay, I want to work on this cart count over here. So let's go ahead and do that. So if we can go into nav, if we simply do cart count, that should work. But later on we're going to be adding an instance, another instance of the cart. So I like to be explicit with which cart it's using. So by default, the default one is called default. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's see if that works. There you go, it says 0, but I don't want it to show 0 if there's no items. So let's go ahead and just reformat this a bit, and let's just check if this is greater than 0. Okay, and that shouldn't show because there's no items, but if we add one, there you go. And again, let's make sure we add this as well to the landing page right there. So let's just paste that in. Let's and save. Let's check the main page, and it still works. Cool. Alrighty, now let's work on the totals here, the subtotal, the tax, and the total. Before I do that, I want to publish the config file. If If you go to the documentation page, there's a command here to publish the config. Let's go ahead and do that. And what that does is, if you go to config cart, you can set the tax rate here and some other options, which we'll just set the tax rate here for now, 13%, because I am in Ontario, Canada, and that's the tax rate. Let's go back to our cart.blade. And where's the totals? Totals are right here. So let's go ahead and put those in. So cart, this one's a subtotal. Just copy that. This one is the tax. So tax. And this one is the total. Cart total. And let's see if that works. Back here. Okay. And yeah, you can see that it's outputting cents right now. Also, I don't want this comma separator. I believe there's an option in that right here. Yeah, 1000 separator. Let's just make it nothing. You can leave that in if you want. And yeah, now let's just format it so that there's a $sign and so that it's not in cents. Back in our cart view, we can do it right here and then just divide by 100. But we already did something similar in our product model where we have a present price function. So let's just copy that. But that's not going to work because this only works on an instance of product, and this is not an instance of product, it's an instance of cart. So we're going to need to do something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a helpers file. So if you go here, let's make a helpers.php, open up the PHP tag, we don't need a closing one, and just make a method called present price, and we're taking the price, and we're doing the same thing as the other one, except we're just using this price that's passed in, and we can make use of this one instead. But in order to make this work within Laravel, we have to do something with our composer.json file. We have to add a files array to tell Laravel to autoload it. So if you just paste that in, it will work. And then we can just do composer dump autoload. Okay, wait, syntax error, line 3. Oh, we can't have the word public here. Okay, composer dump autoload. Okay, now if you go into our cart, we can just do something like this. Present price, and then we can do that. So let's do the same for the other ones. Present price. Okay, and this one as well. Present price. Okay, see if that works. There you go. And that is the correct calculations now. Let's see, 1499.99 times 1.13 is 1694.98. That is not correct. It's still using the old version, so let's just remove this. And now if we add laptop 3, add to cart, now it's using the correct version. 1499.99 times 1.13 is 1694.99. There we go, that's right. And let me just add the percentage in there. So tax, just say 13%. Cool. One thing I want to take note of is what happens when you add a duplicate item. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. So if I go back to laptop 3 and add it to our cart, it's already in there. What happens? So it says item was added to cart, but we only see one row here, but we see the contents, number of items in the cart change. So what's happening here? So what's happening is it just updates the quantity for this specific product. Let me just show you here. We go here and just die and dump the cart. Just go back here. We'll see that there's one item in the array, but there's two in terms of quantity. And that makes sense because this package allows for like variations of the product, like for example a shirt that's in different sizes. But in our case, if you take this out and we go back to our cart, I want to update quantity this way where it's just a drop down. So I don't want to allow duplicates. So how do we do that? So when we're adding, we have to add some logic here to check if it's already in the cart. So if you look at the documentation, you go search, here is how we do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just check for a duplicate item. So let's make a variable called duplicates, and it's just using collections, and it's using like the filter method. So we're passing in a function, cart item and row ID, and we have to pass in the request to check. And all we have to do is return cart item ID equals request ID. And if it does exist, then that means the duplicates collection is not empty. So if we just do something like this, if duplicates is not empty, then we know that it already exists in the cart. So let's just redirect. Let's just return back to the cart.index, and let's just say item is already in your cart. And if not, then we can proceed like we did before. So let's go ahead and do this. See if this works. Let's just remove this and start again. Okay. Let's add the MacBook Pro, add the cart. Okay. 1 as we expect. But if we add it again, let's see if this works. The item is already in your cart and everything remains the same. Cool. Alrighty, the next thing I want to do is work on this save for later. It's another instance of the cart down here. Again, this is just hard-coded. And if you look on Amazon, they do this. Here's your main cart. Here's items that you can't afford now, and hopefully you can afford it sometime in the future. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go into our routes file, and let's go ahead and make a new one. Let's grab this one, and it'll be a post request. Let's call it cart/switch to save for later /product, and then cart controller at, we'll make a new method in our controller called switch to save for later, and we'll name it cart.switch to save for later. Alright, let's go into our cart controller and let's add that one. Okay, let's just grab this, copy it, paste it, change the comment here. Shopping cart to save for later. Okay. Change method name to switch to save for later. And let's get started. Now usually I try not to use extra methods that aren't the default methods within the controller. But for this case it's only one extra one, so it's not too bad. So let's go ahead and do this. Item. Let's just grab the item. And then we're gonna remove it. And then similar to up here, where we're putting it in our cart, let's just grab these two lines. And let's just paste that in. But we're adding it to our other cart, so let's specify the instance here. Let's call it save for later. Add. And instead of the request here, we already saved it here. So let's just grab it from there. Item. We are still associating it with the same model. And we are going to change this message here to item has been saved for later. Okay. Now let's go into our view and where is it? Save for later, right here. We have to replace this with a form. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's make a new form. Actually, just copy this one. It's almost the same. So the action is switch to save for later. Same there, it's post as well. CSRF field, we don't need this because it's a post request. And let's just change this to save for later. And see if that still looks good. Okay. Now let's see if this works. It's not going to show here because we still have to work on that, but let's just see if it removes from this area here. And it does. Awesome. So now let's work on showing the contents here. Okay, back into our editor. And down here, right here. So we're going to do something similar to what we did above. We have to check if there's any contents first. So let's just see what we did here. What did we do? We did this. And then we did this. Let's just copy that. Go back down here. Paste that in. And we just have to specify the instance here. We called it save for later. And same here. Okay. Items we saved for later. Okay. We don't need this line anymore. And down here, we can do an else. And we can do end if here. And we can just put an H3 and say, you have no items saved for later. Okay. Let's just see if that works. Back in our routes file where we did this before, let's just do it for the new instance. So save for later, just so we can test things out. So let's do that. Let's empty it out. Let's go back to our cart. There you go, that works. Now let's just see if it appears if we put it there. So move it there. Okay, so that kind of works. And now let's just work on this table. So back into our cart. We just need to iterate over this one. So let's go ahead and do that. For each cart instance, save for later. Content as item. Let's grab this. See where this ends. Then we'll put the end for each there. And then we can just go ahead and replace all these things. Let me just paste it in so it's faster. It's the same thing as before. Image, just do that. Okay. Just grab this again, put it here. And then we have the name. And then we have the price. Present price. See if that works. Shop.product. Sorry, this is shop.show. Shop.product again. Sorry, that one too. Okay. Sorry, this is details here. And this one down here is price. Present price. Okay. There you go. And we don't need that extra one. That's just hard-coded. This one here. So let's remove that. And this one should be move to cart instead of save for later. Move to cart, which we'll work on in a sec. Okay, this is link. Yep, that links properly. Okay, so similar to before, we want to prevent duplicates here from being added. So right now, if we add laptop 4 again, and if we save it for later, this still works. And it's the same issue as before. So let's go ahead and prevent duplicates. Let me empty the cart first. Okay. Okay, let's go back into our code. And back in our cart controller, I'm just going to paste some code in here. And it's doing pretty much what we did before, where we're checking for duplicates. This time we're checking the save for later instance. And if there's duplicates, we'll just return back with a message that says item is already saved for later. So let's save for that. And let's check if it works. So let's add laptop 8. Add to cart. Save for later. Let's add 8 again. Add to cart. Save for later. And it says item is already saved for later. Cool. Alright, now let's work on the remove and move to cart in the save for later cart. So let's go into our editor. Let's go into our routes file. And let's just copy these two here from our cart. And we're going to make 2 new ones for our save for later. So call it save for later. This one too. And we're going to make a save for later controller. So let's just grab this. Save for later controller. destroy is good. And this one will be called save for later. Same with this one. And that looks good to me. All right. Now let's go ahead and make that save for later controller. So PHP artisan make controller save for later controller and -r. Okay, save for later controller. We only need delete or destroy, sorry. Okay, and if we go to our cart controller, we can pretty much just copy what we have in there. Yep, we can just do this. Paste it in, and let's just specify the instance here. Save for later, and return back with success message. Item has been removed. Okay, that's good. And then let's also add a new method for switch to cart. So switch item from saved for later to cart. Okay, switch to cart, and let's just grab what we have in here. Grab this, and let's just change the instances of the cart. So cart, let's do this. Actually, let's just do one at a time. Instance save for later, okay. And same for this one here. Okay. Now for this one, we're going to check the default cart. If there's a duplicate, item is already in your cart. And here, we're going to change this to default. We're going to add the item. Okay. Item has been moved to cart. Okay, and now we just have to go to our cart.blade, and down here we just have to replace these with forms. So we can pretty much just copy what we have up there. Just copy these two. And let's just paste that in. And here we just change that route to save for later, not destroy. And this remains the same. And over here, we're going to switch this one to switch to cart. Sorry, this one will be save for later dot switch to cart. And this one should be called move to cart. Now, if we did everything correctly, it should work, but it doesn't. Save for later dot switch to cart not defined. Switch to later. Save for later. Save for later dot switch to cart. Save for later dot switch to cart. Switch that. Try again. And that worked. Move to cart. Method switch to save for later does not exist. Where? Switch to cart. Yes, switch to cart. Let's also switch this to switch to cart. Try again. Cart not found. Cart not found. If you go to save for later controller, we have to import that. Okay. Continue. And that worked, I think. Let's just do some more tests to make sure. Laptop 6, add to cart. Save for later. Laptop 6 should be down here. Awesome. Does it remove? Yes, it does remove. Let's add another one. 4. Add to cart. Alright, everything looks like it's working. So there you have it, guys. We managed to implement most of the cart functionality in this video. And in the next one, I hope to continue and work on the checkout functionality. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys there. Bye.